everyone, welcome to part 5 of our conversation, and fortunately it is the last episode for the year 2022. It's been such a wonderful year and a wonderful experience, and we just want to bless God for the over 20 something episode that we're able to release this year. It's been all about God. We had different conversation around different issues. And I think what we're going to do, unlike the former time, we would do a recap of the year in the new year. So it means that the first episode for 2023 will be just recapping everything that we learned in 2022. And so remember, we've been having the conversation on the book, The Habitat for Becoming a King. And so for our part 5 today, we'll be covering part 5 is the speed of the soul. And so for this conversation, I'll just speak directly from the book of Snyder when he's talking about how to become king. So for the habitat of the speed of the soul, I said, when we are busy, the Father is quiet. The words from, and that's a word from his mentor. His name of his mentor is called Jim. Jim said, when we are busy, the Father is quiet. And so most times when we say, oh, we're not hearing from him and we're not doing everything, he is just quiet. Because most times we are busy and we don't have time for God, and so God just remains quiet and the Father seems to say nothing. So it wasn't that our Father doesn't speak, he's speaking. Our Father is always speaking, but it's simply that we become too busy and sometimes we lose our ability to hear him. So mostly good things. So most times we are filled with good stuff. We're doing good things for the kingdom. We are busy trying to care for our families, which is great. We're busy trying to get ahead in our careers and all of that. Those are great, but sometimes we become too occupied and we don't hear the Father. And since we need to learn that, most people talk about just good men, how for us to live good lives. So he said, one of the things, let me read what he said. He said, in the years since I have learned how common this theme is in the lives of good men, as one mentor put it, dog pie is a grand strategy of the enemy. So that's the grand strategy of the devil, to just keep us occupied and we're always busy. So if we can take a man out, he will just get him busy. And so most times where the devil is not able to get us out of the game, out of destroying his kingdom, he gets us busy, gets us occupied. And so we are buried by good things that we're doing. And his good heart, for people baiting him into much more and too much. So people begin to call you, oh, brother, you have to be in this committee in the church, you have to be this, you have to head the brother group, you have to head this, and he just gets occupied and so full with a lot of things, and you don't even have time to hear the voice of the Father. So it becomes a pattern, and we think, oh yeah, we're doing great work for God, but we're not hearing him because the Father does not speak to people that are busy. And what happens is that it begins to open us up for spiritual attack. What the Lord is saying, no, we need to understand the speed of the soul. I continue in the book. He said, we live in a time of unprecedented pace. You know that we move 247, right? That's what they say. Never before has so much been instantly accessible, from transportation to communication. You can be speaking with somebody here today, and maybe, I'm recording this right from a person in Canada, but you might be somewhere in maybe Australia, and tomorrow you just say, well, I'm somewhere in the part of Africa, or I'm somewhere in Lagos, or I'm somewhere in Abuja or Nairobi, and the next day you're somewhere in the Antarctic. And so that is how it is to move. And in communication, and even we're so proud of ourselves of multitasking. And the era of COVID even made it more worse, that we've all transitioned to online working. And so today's technology allows us to multitask as well as leverage time and energy at a pace and manner that is incomprehensible to the people that have lived before us. But we must pause. That is a big question. We need to pause to ask ourselves and wonder, what's the impact of this on a soul? We didn't say on a life. We didn't say on our family, but say on a soul. What is the impact? Connectedness enabled by modern technology, while having some benefit, has also created some disadvantage, devastating and incalculable harm to the soul. Every age has a primary spirit assigned to culture in general, and then people specifically to take them up. And just like in the military, the strategy when you want to get at somebody, you assign each person. The footballer does it. You see great footballers like Messi, like Ronaldo. So much. I don't know how many of you love soccer, but if you watch the football World Cup finals that was played on Sunday, in the first half, people were asking, where is Mbappe? Where is Mbappe? Because he was assigned and was marked out of the game. And the French team could not play until there was an opening, until there was a new strategy that was done, and he was able to be free to move around. And that is the way the enemy works. He assigned people specifically to take us out. And in each community and each area, there's a pattern of sin, there's a pattern of struggle that takes people out. And so in our own age, there's also what he has assigned. So we don't have to look far to identify the spirit of this age. It is just busyness, relentless busyness. And so Richard Foster, as quoted by Snyder in his book here, and others, it's called the hurry sickness. The hurry sickness. We are always in a hurry, but we don't know where we're in a hurry to. So the perpetual too much to do, not enough time. That is the complaint everywhere in the world. Too much to do, not enough time. So we are baited to live at such a dazzling speed that intimacy is destroyed and we are left with a culture of scarcity. Simply put, we are very practiced in the discipline of hurry. So brothers, I'm inviting you that as we end the year, you really need to think deep. Where are you in a hurry to? Have you created time to hear from the Father? Or are you presently sick with the hurry sickness? And it means you need help. You need cure from the Master. So hurry sickness manifests itself in many forms, but the impact is the same. So look at the trend towards perpetual accessibility. Everything is now accessible. We have our iPhone, watches in our hand. Everything is just accessible. And it comes out sometimes with a good package. They tell us, oh, we need to check our temperature, our this, our heart, our movement. So we are always plugged in. There's no freedom. But in all of this plugged in, you need, as I'm recording this podcast now, in my hand is an iPhone watch, and every minute a message comes, it pops up just to scare us. But how do we survive in all of this hyper connectedness? We need to create time. And so we need to look at the trend towards perpetual accessibility. We have become a people too easily available and perpetually engaged. The media and the internet are constantly on, but you must create a discipline pattern. So the inconvenient truth is that confidence has hijacked many values that used to hold much more souls, our soul grounded, our soul know little of rhyme and rest. So moments that were meant to help us internalize reality have been lost, and we have grown uncomfortable with silence. A lot of people cannot stay alone. They can't stay in silence. They can't stay in solitude. They can't stay in stillness. The very context which it is where God speaks to us. And so at every little time, you need to connect. You need to plug online. But as we end the year, I'm inviting you. I'm also inviting myself to begin to think, because as I encourage you, I'm also speaking to myself. It is time to unplug. It is time to create space to hear the voice of God speaking to us, guiding us and affirming us where we are doing well, affirming what is true in our life. It means we need to walk towards that. So once we are overloaded with commitment, you sign up for every activity in church, you sign up for every dinner you're invited, you are there, every meeting you're invited, every offer you're given, you jump at it. You are destroying yourself, you are destroying your soul. So your soul is bogged down. So it's important that you find something to do. So there's a book that Snyder recommended for us in this work. He said it's written by Dallas Willard. So Dallas Willard once made this book recommendation. So he said Dallas Willard was once asked. So no, he was writing here that Dallas Willard was asked, what book will he recommend for people? Most people ask, give us book recommendation and all of that. And this was the suggestion that Dallas gave the people that were asking him. He said, I suggest you read a few very deeply. Every year, different people, during the summer, former President Barack Obama and all of these great leaders, even musicians, authors on Instagram pages and Twitter, I ask, what is your summer read? What is your winter read? What is your spring read? And they bring a lot of list of books. And we struggle to say, I've read all of those books. But invite people to a conversation around the book, they don't remember Jack. But what Dallas was saying is that I will suggest that you read a few books, but you read it deeply. you need to know. You need to be patient. Sometimes before we grab a book, before we want to know the end, unless we run to the back to quickly read. But that also has its own implication. So the effect is a sort of deadening of the soul, rather than a true deepening of the interior life and an integration of self through truly becoming an apprentice of God and His kingdom. So as we end 2022, as a man that have been listening to this podcast, or maybe your first time jumping on this podcast, the invitation for you is to become an apprentice of God and His kingdom. And how do you do that? You need to pause. So progress you have to make progress little by little. You need to create time for your soul. So we have been trained and we have practiced in instant gratification. A lot of people are struggling in it. When you start asking something from God, or as a man, you want to see immediate changes in your life, but it is not happening. So the invitation is that we must overcome the current culture, that it is affecting the gospel, it's affecting our own life, but we must say no. I must set my soul within a habitat that is simply in alignment with God. And that alignment is to slow down. So between, we are doing yourself a great disservice to the human soul if we continue. So this gospel of now, take instant gratification has created a lot of disappointment in God. A lot of people do no longer even believe in God. They feel so disappointed because I was expecting this from God. God did not do it. It's because we've not created time to make people know that it's a process sometimes to get to know God deeply. It's a process sometimes to get to understand His way. I just love this psalm. In the psalm, it said He made His way known to Moses and His art to the children of Israel. So the children of Israel just saw the miracles, but they did not understand the way behind the miracle. And so it got to a point that they were just looking for people that just got manna. When there was no water, they started complaining because they only knew the art. They don't know the way. If they understood the way, they would not have complained. They would have asked Him, where do you want us to get water from, Father? And He would have provided. So the invitation is for you that as you end this year, you must come to that point that you will say, I need to know the ways of God. And that does not come in business. So business is the enemy of intimacy. The enemy is having a field day in our generation. But you must say, no, I must create a deep relationship with God. And so through relationship, we'll be able to get to understand what He wants for us. So in concluding, you must choose to cultivate over time a habit for your masculine soul to align with these 5 habitats that we've talked about. There are 5 ancient truths that will really help you to grow. Remember the first one, we said the habitat of no shortcut. That is the first. We talked about also the habitat of you embracing failure, that it is critical for your soul to grow. And we talked about the habitat of you choosing the lower seat. When a generation, they say we should all be at the top, but the Lord is inviting you to choose the lower seat. And we also have the habitat of living in the present moment, which is very, very critical for us. As once we do this, we begin to grow. And only then can we take steps towards becoming, breaking every agreement with this world, with this unproductive life, unsustainable way of living that this generation is raising for men, so that we might recover our life both in our walk with God and maturing our souls as King. And so that is the invitation for us as we end the year. So remember that you must know that, like we said the last time, you do what? You need to go slower. You need to do things slower. Eat slower, do a lot of things slower, and that will help your soul for you to be able to break the spirit of holiness. So hurry, like we say, is the greatest enemy of spiritual life in our day. And you must ruthlessly destroy. You must ruthlessly destroy it in your life. And that is your goal. You must say, no, I will not do it. So how do you do it? So in concluding, or for you to become a good soil leader, for you to really grow this, one of the things you need to do is that you must start with this. You need to begin to do things slower. You need to talk slower. You need to eat slower. You need to do a lot of things slower. You need to do it all slower. Everything you do it slower. And it could mean the sense of you just taking time to say, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to take my time to relax. I'm going to take my time to do this. You must condition your soul it's important that you condition your soul to be able to receive. Condition your soul to be able to receive all of this other part of what we've invited you. God is inviting you into, so that you'll be able to come to that point, that you pay attention to what you are learning, where you're going, and what you're doing. I hope you've been blessed through this conversation. It's been 2 months that we've been having this conversation, so it's more than just the 5 week that was anticipated, because there was a lot of series of break due to personal commitment elsewhere at work and a lot of traveling this year. But hopefully, like I said the last time, we're trusting God that in 2023 we'll be consistent with our weekly release of various issues, and I hope you've been able to grab 1 or 2 things in 2022, and you've been blessed one way or the other. I will invite you to keep praying along with us, and to keep trusting God to keep doing this deep work in you until we all become glorified in Him and become the men that God desires for us to be here on earth, and the above all is for us to make eternity and to see Him in His kingdom. So thank you so much for following this year. Thank you for everyone that have listened this year, for everyone that will still listen in the future. God bless you. I pray that the joy of Christmas, which is Christ, will be found in you and your family, and you'll be prepared even to come into 2023 to become the King's man, to become the one that represents God. Just look at 2023 is going to be a year of many miracles. The Lord is going to do great things in our lives, and I wish you all the best with your family. Stay strong, praying along with you and myself, that God will bring us into a newer experience, and we'll be able to enjoy this 5 habitat in 2023 and become the men that God wants us to be. Thank you so much. God bless you. Take care of yourself. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. God bless you. Bye-bye.